from Emmanuel, watching on YouTube Live. He wants to know how you would respond to Sam Harris's claim, and Sam Harris is a well-known new atheist. Sam Harris's claim that objective moral truths can be derived from science, that is, God is not needed for there to be objective moral truth.
Yeah, I've never understood what he meant there. I mean, I got lost with him when he said free will is an illusion. And I know there's a lot to that claim, and I've sorted through it. I've read those books. But when you put your finger on the fundamental part of it, he's denying there's anything spiritual. He's denying there's a soul to the human. And if you deny there's a soul to the human, then you deny there's God, and then you have nowhere to look for moral truth except for science. So if we're going to start there, I would make him admit that, and I think he does, that he has nowhere to look but science. So of course he's going to conclude everything ends and begins with science because that's all he's got. But then, it actually becomes very subjective when he starts saying this is the objective truth, this is the objective truth. There's a subjectivity in that. There's nothing to base it on. And anytime you have something logically derived, you have to start with your starting assumptions. So, if he's going to build his logical system on that, I would get down to the first logical premise and say, just know that you are starting from a premise that says that you have no soul, I have no soul, you have no explanation for your intelligence and free will, and we do. So while you're sitting there scratching your head trying to figure out whether you can think freely or not, we're going to go on with our lives and practice virtue and move on, because I do think that the Christian logic is a much, much fuller logic. And that's what I would say to him. I'm not sure what he would say back to that. But
okay. When you say that about free will, I always wonder about the person who argues against free will but in favor of science, because science is a matter of being convinced of things. It's saying the evidence has convinced me, and being convinced means making a decision. You have to decide, yes, the evidence is sufficient or it's not. So if you say there's no free will, aren't you saying that there's actually no science? Because I'm not actually being convinced by the evidence. Something else is happening. A chemical reaction is happening in my brain, but I have not decided, yes, the evidence is sufficient in one area or another.
Yes, it doesn't, and many, many, many people have pointed this out. And personally, I could not accept that. I mean, you basically say you have no free will to think freely, that you're thinking freely that you think that. I mean, it just goes in circles, and it's nonsense.